Everything is energy, and most people are being ruled by it without even realizing. Every thought you have, every breath you take, every moment you react, pull away, or chase after something, you're not just making a decision. You're shifting energy. You're either flowing or resisting. You're either directing your field or being directed by it. And in this invisible power struggle between you and your energy field, most people are losing. Not because they're weak, not because they're lazy, but because no one ever taught them how to work with their energy, not against it. You weren't born with instruction manuals. You were born into habits, programming, a world built on reaction. And slowly, you were trained to believe that energy was something external. Electricity, fuel, money, charisma, motivation, something you needed more of, something you had to chase. But that was the first illusion. Because energy isn't something you get, it's something you shape. And if you don't know how to shape it, guess what? It shapes you. Let's start with the basics. Right now, as you're watching this, your brain is filtering out millions of data points: the sound of the room, the feeling of your body, the position of your tongue, the flicker in your peripheral vision. All of that is happening, but you don't notice it. Why? Because your nervous system is conserving energy by deciding what matters, what's relevant, what's you. And here's the trap. The more familiar a pattern is, the less likely you are to see it, which means you could be surrounded by subtle energetic signals, insights, guidance, truth, and your mind could be deleting all of it, not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. This is why change feels so hard, not because change is hard, but because your brain is addicted to familiar energy. And breaking that addiction takes more than willpower. It takes energy awareness. Now think back to the last time you tried something new, something that pushed you, that made you uncomfortable. Your movements felt awkward. Your mind was scattered. It didn't feel natural. That's because your energy was still configured for the old version of you. But over time, with repetition, your system began to reorganize. The effort became flow. The tension turned into rhythm. What happened? You didn't just learn a skill. You retrained your energy field. You built coherence between thought, body, breath, and intention. You restructured the current. That's energy mastery. And here's the part no one told you. This isn't some mystical, rare ability. It's how you're built. But most people never access it because they're too busy pushing, forcing, resisting. They're leaking energy all day long through worry, doubt, overthinking, tension, fear, and then wondering why they feel stuck. Imagine a car with the gas pedal pressed, but the parking brake is on. That's most people's lives. Their energy is running, but it's not flowing. And unless you learn to release that brake, to shift your energy field into alignment, you'll keep burning out without ever moving forward. That's why we're here. Because once you understand how your brain, body, and field interact, everything changes. You stop wasting energy fighting your own system. You stop chasing motivation and start generating power. You stop reacting and start directing. And you don't need decades of training. You just need awareness, intention, and practice. Let's begin now with your breath. Don't try to change anything, just notice it. Inhale, feel the coolness. Exhale, feel the warmth. Notice the rhythm, the pause, the weight of the breath. Keep going. Within seconds, your nervous system will begin to regulate itself. Your mind will quiet. Why? Because awareness creates coherence, and coherence is energy intelligence. This is the first layer, becoming the observer. When you observe your body without judgment, you release trapped signals. When you observe your breath, you soften resistance. When you observe your thoughts, they lose power over you. This is not spiritual fluff. This is neuroplasticity. This is cognitive recalibration. This is you taking back control of your frequency. But it goes deeper, because right now, you're still filtering what you allow yourself to perceive. Your beliefs are coloring your attention. Your history is shaping your reactions. If you were trained to expect pain, you'll notice signs of danger first. If you were raised around scarcity, your brain will filter for what's missing, not because it's true, but because that's what your field has been programmed to expect. So if you want to master energy, you have to begin by questioning your perception. What are you noticing? What are you ignoring? And more importantly, what could you be sensing if you stopped filtering life through your fears? Because here's the secret. Energy doesn't hide. It flows. You're already feeling it in your hands, your chest, your breath, your gut. That tension you carry, the fog in your head, the fire in your spine, it's not random. It's data. And if you learn how to listen, you learn how to lead. Now let's talk about the system behind the system, the real mechanism that either blocks your energy or frees it, your perception matrix. What's that? It's the silent framework your brain uses to decide what's real, what matters, and what can be ignored. Think of it like a lens. Whatever it focuses on becomes your reality. But here's the glitch. That lens isn't calibrated for truth. It's calibrated for survival, and survival is biased. Your brain didn't evolve to make you happy. It evolved to keep you safe. So it overemphasizes danger, amplifies uncertainty, and filters out anything unfamiliar, which means the energy you need the most, peace, flow, power, expansion, may be right in front of you, but your mind is too busy scanning for threats to let it in. This is why you can walk into a room and immediately feel off, without knowing why. Or why someone's words say one thing, but you feel a completely different energy behind them. That's your field, responding faster than your mind. But if you're still caught in reactive energy, fear, doubt, comparison, control, you won't trust that response. You'll overthink it. You'll override it. You'll lose your most powerful tool. Because energy doesn't scream. It whispers. It doesn't demand. It invites. And if you haven't trained your attention, you'll miss it. This is why we train awareness. Not to become more aware of noise, but to become more sensitive to signal. Try this. Right now, without moving, bring your attention to your hands. Just feel them. Not as objects, but as fields. Notice the warmth, the tingling, the subtle electric pulse. You didn't create that sensation. It was already happening. You just weren't tuned to it. This is how energy work begins, by noticing what was already real. You're not inventing energy, you're remembering it. And the more you remember, the more your field activates. It's like learning a new language. At first it's noise, then structure, then meaning, then flow. And soon, you're fluent. But this language isn't made of words. It's made of sensations, attention, breath, resonance. You're not learning to manipulate energy. You're learning to merge with it. Let's go deeper. There's something called selective attention, and it runs your entire life. Your brain uses it to scan reality and spotlight what it believes is most relevant. But guess what determines relevance? Belief, memory, trauma, identity. Which means, if you believe I'm not safe, your attention will scan the world for evidence of danger. If you believe I'm unworthy, your attention will ignore signs of love and fixate on rejection. And what you focus on, you energize. You're not just thinking, you're wiring your field. And this is where energy mastery becomes liberation. Because once you realize your field is just mirroring your focus, you reclaim the pen. But let's not just talk. Let's practice. Sit still for a moment and observe the room around you, not as a list of objects, but as an energy field. Notice where your attention wants to go. Is it drawn to motion, light, color, emotion? Now, redirect it. Choose a different focal point. A shadow, a corner, your breath, your heartbeat. Feel how your body responds. That slight shift in pressure, the change in emotional tone, the mental pause, that's energy adjusting. You're not watching reality, you're shaping it. That's the observer effect in real time. In quantum mechanics, the mere act of observation collapses potential into form. In energy work, the same rule applies. What you observe with presence begins to organize. What you ignore begins to decay. What you resist begins to distort. This is why your thoughts matter, not because of their content, but because of their frequency. A worried thought carries chaos. A loving thought carries order. A focused thought sharpens the field. A scattered thought leaks it. Your mind is not just a narrator, it's a magnet. And whatever it focuses on, your energy field reinforces. So here's the question. What's your mind obsessing over when you're not paying attention? That's the signal you're broadcasting. That's the field you're charging. And if you want to shift your reality, you don't just need new thoughts. You need new focus. Not forced, not fake, but chosen. Again and again. And that brings us to your next unlock, coherence. Coherence isn't perfection, it's harmony. It's when your thoughts, emotions, and body are in agreement. Not in theory, but in felt sense. Coherence is what athletes enter during flow state. It's what musicians tap into when the music takes over. It's what mystics call presence. And it's available to you right now through breath, focus, surrender, and repetition. This isn't about adding anything, it's about removing noise. That's energy mastery. And it begins with the smallest decision. Where do you put your attention when no one's watching? Let's break something big. The illusion that you're a body with energy inside it. You're not. Your energy, temporarily shaped into a body. And that body is not a boundary, it's a translator. It converts frequencies into sensation. It takes the invisible and makes it felt. But we've been taught to ignore the signals, to numb the body, to override it. We say things like, push through the pain, or mind over matter. But that's the problem. The mind has been over matter for too long. And now, the body is screaming. Tension, fatigue, inflammation, chronic anxiety. These aren't flaws, they're feedback. Messages from a system that's been flooded with too much information and not enough alignment. Your body knows what your mind refuses to admit, that your life is out of rhythm, that your field is leaking, that you're trying to force your way through energy patterns that were never meant to be controlled, only understood. And here's the paradox. The more you try to dominate your energy, the more it resists. Why? Because energy doesn't obey fear. It follows trust. It responds to safety. And that's something you can't fake. You either embody it, or you don't. Now let's talk about embodiment, one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world of energy. Embodiment doesn't mean pretending to be confident. It doesn't mean acting spiritual. It means becoming a clear signal. It means aligning your thoughts, emotions, posture, breath, and intention into one unified field. That's coherence. That's embodiment. That's what changes your reality. And the moment you enter that state, the quantum responds. Not slowly, instantly. Because the field doesn't need time to rearrange. It needs resonance. That's why trying harder doesn't work. You don't need more effort. You need more alignment. Let's make this practical. Take a breath in and exhale slowly. Now let your shoulders drop. Loosen your jaw. Feel your feet on the ground. That's not relaxation. That's energetic recalibration. You just shifted your signal. You went from fight or flight to presence, from distortion to clarity. And in that tiny shift, your whole frequency changed. Now amplify that. What if every time you walked into a room, your field was broadcasting calm, grounded confidence? What if every conversation began with coherence? What if your baseline was safety, not survival? That's not wishful thinking, that's training. And it begins by noticing what pulls you out of coherence, what makes you shrink, who makes you brace, what thoughts tighten your chest. That's where your energy is being hijacked. And unless you reclaim it, someone else will use it for you. Here's the truth. No one likes to say out loud, your energy is always being influenced by environments, by media, by people's expectations. Every moment, your field is adjusting to the energies around you, whether you're aware of it or not. That's not weakness, that's sensitivity. But sensitivity without skill becomes chaos. And that's why we train, not to harden ourselves, but to become precise, flexible, intuitive, capable of sensing energy without absorbing it, responding without reacting, directing without controlling. This is where energetic boundaries come in, not walls, but membranes, flexible, intelligent filters that let in what serves and release what drains. You build these not with words, but with frequency, with presence, with choice. Every time you say no to what feels heavy, you reinforce your field. Every time you choose stillness over stimulation, your field sharpens. Every time you honor your internal signal over external pressure, your energy becomes sovereign. Sovereignty, that's the word. Not dominance, not detachment, but the ability to own your energy in any environment, to walk into noise and remain clear, to feel intensity and remain centered, to be watched, judged, projected upon, and still stay aligned. That's energy mastery. And it's not a performance, it's a return to how you were designed, to the clarity that was always yours. Let's go even deeper, because none of this works without one final piece: stillness. The kind of stillness that doesn't mean sitting still, but being internally undisturbed. Most people have never truly experienced that. Their minds are loud, their breath is shallow, their bodies are clenched. Even when they're doing nothing, they're spinning. But real stillness is not the absence of movement. It's the presence of awareness. It's when the observer awakens, when you stop being the thought and become the one who sees the thought, when you stop identifying with tension and become the space that holds it. Stillness is the master key to energy, because in stillness, you see the pattern, you hear the frequency, you recognize the loop, and in that recognition, you become free. Now we enter the quantum zone, the part where energy, intention, and awareness collapse into creation. Not fantasy, not theory, reality. Because once you've reclaimed your energy, once you've stopped leaking your signal to every distraction and fear, a new question arises. If I am this powerful, what can I do with it? Let's start with this. Your attention is currency. Every second you focus on something, you are investing energy into it. That means every thought you feed, every memory you revisit, every worry you replay, you are energizing that version of reality. You're feeding timelines. You're not just remembering, you're recharging. So if you want to change your future, you have to starve the timelines that no longer serve you. You have to stop fueling the old pattern and start nourishing the new one. Here's the breakthrough moment. Energy doesn't care about truth. It cares about signal. If your field is broadcasting scarcity, even if you're chanting abundance, the field responds to the dominant vibration, not the noise. This is why affirmations fail. Why vision boards collect dust. Why nothing changes. Until you change. Let's make it practical. Close your eyes and imagine a version of yourself 1 year from now who has mastered energy. They walk differently, speak differently. They aren't chasing results. They are the signal. What do they feel like? Calm, clear, powerful? Can you sense the texture of their presence? Good. Now feel your current state. Compare the two. What's the difference? That gap is your next energetic assignment, not to become them later, but to shift into their frequency now, before the evidence, before the proof. That's how quantum alignment works. You tune to the frequency of the reality you want, before it manifests. And when your field is stable enough, it has no choice but to appear. Think of it like tuning a radio. You don't beg the music to play. You don't try harder. You just turn the dial, and suddenly the music is there, not because it appeared, but because you finally matched the frequency. Your life works the same way. You're surrounded by infinite versions of you right now, all vibrating at different states. Fear, power, doubt, trust, contraction, flow. Which one are you tuned into? The moment you stop trying to fix your life and start adjusting your signal, reality rearranges, because the universe isn't punishing or testing you, it's mirroring you, always has, always will. Let's go deeper. There's something called the field of potential, a term from quantum physics that describes the space of infinite probabilities. It's not fantasy, it's measurable. It's where particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed. That means every outcome, every version of your next moment already exists in the field, but only one collapses into form. How? Through your focus, through your expectation, through your frequency. That's not magic, that's science. So how do you collapse a better timeline? You don't try harder, you harmonize, you get clear, you stop being chaotic. The field doesn't respond to effort, it responds to clarity. That's why people who seem calm, aligned, and trusting often magnetize miracles, while those who chase and strive repel the very thing they want, because energy can't flow into a field that's full of static. That's why you must become still, not passive, still, clear, open, and from that space, you intend, not from desperation, but from truth. You declare, you act, you reinforce, you stay in coherence, even when nothing on the outside has changed yet, because you know the inside already has. And then, things begin to move. The right people, the right openings, the unexpected moment of synchronicity, not because you forced it, but because you matched it. This is the real law of attraction. Not about pretending you're happy, but about becoming energetically available to the version of life that's already waiting for you. Let's drop an example. You want more peace, but your nervous system is chaotic. You want more love, but your heart is armored. You want success, but your field is filled with shame. The field doesn't care what you want. It reflects what you are. So the work isn't to chase outcomes, it's to remove the interference. That's energy mastery, not forcing reality to comply, but cleaning your signal, so reality can respond naturally. Your job is not to make things happen. Your job is to become the clearest signal of the version of you that already has what you want. That version already exists in the quantum. You don't have to create it, you have to tune to it. Let's do a final energetic scan. Pause, take a breath, ask yourself, where am I broadcasting doubt? Where am I leaking my energy into old timelines? Who still owns real estate in my mental space for free? Reclaim it. Reclaim you. Your attention is sacred, and where it goes, energy flows. Here's the final key, the one most people never find, even after years of searching. You're not here to master energy in the way the ego imagines, to control it, dominate it, or bend it to your will. You're here to remember you already are it. You don't master the field. You realize you are the field. The energy you're trying to shape, it's shaping you. The frequency you're chasing, it's encoded in your DNA. The power you think is missing, it never left. It's been waiting, silently, patiently. For one thing, your alignment. Because the final truth is this: your energy isn't something you need to fix, it's something you need to trust. Beneath all the noise, beneath all the conditioning, there is a frequency that is uniquely yours. Not generic, not forced, not copied, yours. And when you align with it, not conceptually, but viscerally, you unlock a kind of flow that no one can teach. Because it doesn't come from the mind, it comes from source. Let's reframe the whole journey. You've spent years trying to become something, to achieve, to transform, to heal, But what if all of that effort was actually pulling you further from yourself? What if the entire illusion of becoming was built to keep you searching instead of remembering? The awakening begins when you stop trying to manipulate the energy and you start listening to it, feeling it, surrendering to the intelligence beneath the thoughts. That's when the magic begins. Not the fantasy kind, the real kind, where synchronicities become daily, where clarity sharpens like a blade, where your nervous system stops bracing and starts receiving, where life stops being a struggle and starts becoming a dance. You've heard the phrase, everything is energy, but most people stop there. They never ask the next question, what kind of energy am I being right now? Not what I want, not what I'm thinking, not what I'm pretending, but what I'm actually vibrating. And if you're honest, brutally honest, you'll find your power, because in that honesty, there's no resistance, just truth. And from truth, you realign. So take this in. You're not broken, you're just misaligned. You're not failing, you're just broadcasting the wrong signal. And the moment you change your internal frequency, the world doesn't just respond, it shifts. Entire timelines reconfigure. Opportunities appear. Energy flows. And you realize it was never about force, it was about frequency. Right now, you're standing in front of a choice. You can keep living at the mercy of unconscious energy, reactive, confused, overthinking every step. Or you can become so clear in your signal, so rooted in your truth, that nothing outside of you can pull you out of alignment again. You don't need more information. You need activation. And this is it. So here's your invitation. For the next 24 hours, treat your attention like sacred currency. Every thought, every emotion, every response. Ask yourself, does this align with the version of me I'm becoming? Not someday. Not when the results show up. Now, because that's the version that collapses the wave. That's the version the field can't ignore. That's the version you came here to embody. If this message stirred something in you, if you felt that electric charge deep in your chest, the knowing that this isn't just a video, but a mirror, then do one thing right now. Type, "I'm ready," in the comments. Let the field feel your shift. Let your nervous system mark this moment. Let the universe know. The remembering has begun. And if you're finding value in these revelations, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay connected to the deeper truth. Let me know in the comments if this perspective shifted something in you, and type, "I'm ready" if you feel the veil thinning and your hidden energy awakening. Thank you for walking this path of ancient remembrance with me. Until next time, stay curious and stay aligned. And if you haven't yet, join the Mystery School today.